Good afternoon, dear followers. I'm Shuaib, the moderator of Ranadrill Weekly Podcast. In today's talk, we'll dig into the uses of the artificial intelligence and machine learning in the oil and gas industry and how it will reshape this large-scale business. We are all aware that 90% of CO2 emissions are coming from fossils. That's why this industry is caught between a rock and hard place, as many central banks have issued very tough regulations on financial institutions when delivering loans to the firms seeking to invest in the oil and gas industry. But these regulations have to be adapted and released based on the core business of some companies. So working in the oil and gas industry doesn't mean that you are a big emitter, right? So we have to agree about this. So it doesn't mean that you are a carbon emitter, but you could be a problem solver to some complex equations and even adding value to the global economy. So the AI, the technologies to decarbonize the sector, including electrification of the oil and gas, let's say carbon capture, etc. So these innovative solutions certainly participate to save cost and reduce emissions. One of the companies I have really discovered recently is Zerdalab, a firm which is relying on machine learning, AI, to design the drilling bits based on the data collection. This solution is making a shortcut to the drilling operations, saving the cost and even energy. By the way, my host today is Rana Taimur Ahmed, Head of AI Solutions in Zerdalab. Good afternoon, dear Ahmed.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Great, very good. So let's start with part one of this podcast. So allow me to start with this information released by Modern Intelligence, which reported that AI hit $2.38 billion in 23 and will reach $4.21 billion by 28. Is the AI playing its role as one of the reliable solutions to reduce carbon footprints?
Yeah, I would say very much that's true. And when we talk about AI, most of the people are only look at generative AI, but AI is actually broad. And even today, most of the big companies, most of the operators have in-house expertise, and they're developing solutions in machine learning and AI that improve operational efficiency. So if you look at just what was happening 10, even 5 years ago versus what's happening now in different parts of oil and gas operations, we have huge efficiencies, and all of them translate directly to improved performance, reduced carbon footprint. So yeah, it's already having quite a big impact.
Yeah, that's good. And what you are doing exactly in Zerdalab in kind of adding value to the oil and gas industry?
So we picked a small subsection. Basically, if you look at oil and gas industry, it's huge, right? There are so many different operations, so many things happening, even within the drilling sector. And what we specialize in is drill bits. And drill bits are, I guess, the smallest part of your drill string, smallest part of your operation. But
the smallest part, but the most important part.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So if you pick the wrong drill bit, or even it's just not the most optimized version that you can have at that point in time, you're basically leaving a lot of performance on the table and increasing your operational costs. And each of those directly contribute to economic losses. They basically slow down everything. So what we did was all of us have been in this field for a very long time. And the biggest problem we had was collecting reliable data efficiently and collecting that on mass scale. So every day, thousands of bits are run all across the globe, and very few of those are even captured properly. No one takes images. Most of the time, people go out and just eyeball a bit and say, oh, this is what it looks like. And the reality is, with computer vision and deep learning techniques, now we can capture that data very efficiently. And in most cases, we can actually grade those bits much, much better. So we can go even look at each cutter individually and grade that and save that in a database. And that's essentially what we've built. What we do is, and we've made it very simple from a user perspective, you just go out, take pictures, and fill in a form, and that's it. Your database has all the information you need. And imagine doing that over 5 wells or 4 wells in a campaign. And then you have this very strong base to iterate your designs over. So you start with a design that might not be the best, but now after 3 or 4 runs, you have all this information, all this drilling data that you can now start building on top of that and improving your drill bit designs, improving your drilling efficiency significantly.
Okay, so can we say that Zerdalab is really designing special bits for specific formations?
In a way, yes. So what I would say is bits are highly engineered, very specialized piece of equipment. And like I said, the biggest stumbling block is in this process is lack of data. That takes very long time for engineers to come up with good data sets that help us design bits faster. But if we essentially do that or automate that process, now we can design bits for everyone, regardless of if it's a very big customer. Everyone gets prioritized. Everyone gets their best design and best options to drill that well. And that's exactly what we're doing.
And at the end of the day, everybody will be a winner. The driller, the service company, EPC, everybody will be happy with that. Really, you are doing great. So let me go to the second question. So if we go to 2019, ExxonMobil signed an agreement with IBM in the field of quantum computing. In 23, ADNOC has deployed more than 30 AI tools across its value chain, generating more than $500 million by using the artificial intelligence. So how Zerdalab is impacting positively the oil and gas technically and economically?
Yeah, so like I said, we picked a very small subsection to begin with. And the idea is we can improve that aspect of drilling. But on top of that, what we are building is much more enhanced capability. So all the examples that you gave just now kind of point to that direction. And essentially what we are thinking is if we can collect all this data centrally, if we can have all these capabilities, on top of that, we are building AI analytics capability. And the goal of that is once we have the full platform operational, then it's not only the drill bits. We will be giving feedback on how operations are conducted. We will be giving feedback on if there is any inefficiency in BHA design. And all of them basically combined result in a much more efficient operation. And what I've seen personally in my own experience, because I used to work for NOV Drilling Optimization Group as well, is it takes about a few months in most cases, in most projects, but you do see significant improvements. And imagine a well that's drilled in 100 hours, a 10% improvement over 3 months saves you 10 hours. And that's our goal. We want to automate that process and essentially create clones of very good engineers. And those clones, those automated engineers are constantly revising, constantly improving those processes. So imagine your best drilling engineer, but now you have 10 of those because that best drilling engineer can work that much efficiently.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the problem, something I want to highlight, that once drilling, in all drilling operations in the rig site, when the ROP, people have to allow me, I have to talk technically with you a little bit today. So when the ROP decreases, when the ROP decreases, the first person we seek for is bit engineer. But they forget that behind the bit engineer, we have drill collars, we have drill bits, we have the drilling jars, we have drill pipes, we have BHA design. A lot of many people, professionals of the oil and gas and the drilling operations, don't give so much importance to the BHA design. It's has a huge impact. My career, I'm a directional driller, so I have been in a lot of troubles with BHA. I like say bit sticking, it's part of it. BHA, let's say stuck off the BHA, and I had a lot of problems with the hanging. So when I have problems with the hanging, my bit weight on bit doesn't arrive to the bit. That was my nightmare in drilling. So I put more weight on weight, but doesn't reach to the bits. Now this is a big problem. I think this is a point we have to highlight, and I think that this is part of your business, that you make BHA design, right?
Yes, we do make recommendations. We do analyze and suggest BHA improvements as well. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, that's
And one
great.
thing I would highlight that you basically just also said indirectly is there's a lot of knowledge. So people like you who are out in the field, that drilling engineer on that project, they've learned a lot of important things. But most of the time, what happens is you end up basically just putting that in a PDF report somewhere. And then 10 years go by, a new drilling engineer comes up and a new directional driller comes up, and all of a sudden they're relearning those lessons. And that's
Yes.
what AI would be very good at, because you basically have systems already out there which can traverse over a huge amount of data. And if I'm a new engineer, I'm not up to speed, all of a sudden I have all this knowledge on my fingertips, because I can just go and ask my AI companion, hey, I think this might be an issue, or do you foresee these kind of issues? And it can go back 10, 20 years and say, oh yeah, by the way, people drilling this directional well encountered these kind of issues, and you might be aware of that. So already just by asking those questions, you
Yes.
can have a 10x engineer.
Yeah, exactly. Completely agreed. So going to the second part of this podcast, I have to say that I have an information inside. I have remarked something very important. A rig count in the United States dropped from 758 rigs in July 22 to actually we are like 586 rigs. So we have a shrink of 30% in 2 years. Meanwhile, oil production of United States in July 22 was 12 million barrels per day. Today, the production in the United States is roughly 13.3. So this is my remark. We have a shrink of drilling rigs by 30%, but we have an increase of production. People say, oh, what's happening on? What's happening on the ground? When you have less drilling rigs, you should have less production. But I believe artificial intelligence is playing a role in this. So we have to point this effort. We have to point out this effort. So made by firms in the United States, saving time, enhancing efficiencies, improving margins, and lowering the carbon footprint for core operations. So let's say reducing downtime of execution. So certainly the artificial intelligence took a share to achieve those objectives. So how do you see the future of machine learning based on these achievements in this industry?
So at the end of the day, it all comes down to simple engineering, and artificial intelligence is a very important tool in that regards. What you have pointed out is correct. People have improved their operational efficiencies significantly year over year. It's constantly improving. Where I see AI playing an even greater role is the fact that all these learnings and everything that we have been able to achieve can be supercharged. And what I mean by that is now you have the capability to share knowledge across organizations, but you also have the capability to collect data, collect much better data. And instead of putting that in a silo and maybe only 10% of that gets analyzed, you can analyze much, much more data. And one of the biggest things that when I talk to drilling engineers, they always mention is, yes, we are collecting so much information, but we don't have the resources to actually analyze and gain insights. And they strongly believe that they can analyze this data much more efficiently and analyze more of that data, they'll unlock even greater insights. And that's what we basically aim to do. There are certain steps within that entire process that can be automated now, that can be automated by simple text interface. So you can talk to a system and it can go and find data and basically create the insights out of it. And that's essentially what AI will do. Like I said, you'll have 5 engineers for the cost of one because your one engineer is that much more efficient in processing all that information that's coming to them. And imagine how many terabytes of data an average company is generating on daily basis. Just pure drilling data is huge. Those are huge data sets, and it's not easy using conventional tools to look at all of that. But AI can do that and do it very efficiently.
Okay, can you tell us, for example, some case stories you have made? Let's say a client was like spending like month in a well, and you just Zerdalab, he approached it to you, and he said, okay, Zerdalab, we have this problem. We have spent a long time looking for to increase our ROP. We have a lot of a lot of troubles. So, do you have any concrete, really solid, let's say, case study where you really helped a lot the client, and he said, okay, I'm very happy with you, and with your business model can be really copied and pasted on other projects?
Yes, but I'll have to keep the client secret. But I
Yes.
can give you an example.
Yeah, just example, general example.
Yeah. So we'll probably publish this study soon, but right now I'm not authorized to release the client
Yes, yeah,
information
sure.
and where
I
this well
understand.
took
Yeah.
place. The only thing I can say is this was not in US, it was outside US. But yeah, so we basically got this data. I think it was 10 wells, and it was an entire drilling campaign. And it had basically not only just drilling data, not depth-based or time-based. It had both depth-based, time-based drilling data, plus lots of information from subsurface tools. So things like downhole data recorders. And we've already built a tool internally. We call it the toolkit. It's not publicly released yet. But the main reason we built the toolkit was to merge all these data sets. And each of these data sets is at least 10 GB. So you've got 100 GB of data coming in. And basically, our toolkit, we used that to process all of this within a day. And once we had all of this processed, we basically went back and did some corrections. So it took, instead of taking months to go through that data, within 3 days, we had the data sets ready where our analyst could now go in and start making insights. So the whole process took about 2.5 weeks, but we had 10 data sets analyzed, over 100 GB of data, and we basically gave them a very, very comprehensive report. In fact, the original presentation that we made, just the amount of insights that we had was more than 200 slides. So on our part, it became actually hard to cut that down to just enough slides that we can go and present. Even then, the client basically said that these are the insights that we could never have gained without your help. And even 30 slides was too much.
Oh,
It's a
yeah,
very long
exactly. Yeah.
presentation at 30 slides. But
Yeah.
we already have real life impact with some of our clients. I'm hoping we can publish that to general availability very soon. But yeah, anyone who comes to us right now and wants their data analyzed, we're more than happy to do that. We're more than happy to provide them with.
So you are doing great in kind of machine learning, right?
It's a lot of work as well. We're still very busy, and we, like I said, we want to make a product that goes out there and instantly makes an impact to drilling operations for any company.
Exactly, and I think you are doing impact, really impact, as I spoke to Rana also, Arena. Okay, so I have to come back to this question, part of it. As we mentioned in the previously, some international organizations are cracking down on the financial institutions to limit their credit to the oil and gas companies because of huge carbon emissions. So how Zerdalab is convincing its clients to balance between the investment, let's say, in conventional, traditional plants and the soaring demand in technology, including the AI, as these solutions have proven their efficiency as a trusted field of investment, making a positive return on the investment.
So we believe in basic and simple engineering, or common sense engineering, I should say. We don't want to hype anything. We are not the ones who are trying to be influencers on any kind of social media to say, oh, look at this shiny tool that does this, and it actually does maybe less than 10% of what it promises to be. So our strategy is simple. We build tools, we, like I said, deploy them internally, test them extensively, and we have partners that we go to and talk to about what this tool can do for you. And that strategy has proven very effective because we only release something or we only share something out with general public when we are very confident that yes, we can with 100% confidence say this is the impact you'll see once you start using this tool. And that's the strategy. At the end of the day, I'll say stay away from the hype, do basic engineering, and through your basic engineering, through your competence, prove that yes, this tool actually brings value. And if it doesn't bring value, we are not afraid to discard it. We have done that with multiple tools, and we'll keep doing that in the future as well.
And that's great. You are adding value to the market. We have to say it. We have to say that and shed light on this innovative solution, I believe, because reducing the downtime, I believe, is saving money and saving, let's say, reducing the carbon footprint. So everybody is criticizing the oil and gas industry today and saying, oh, stop your emissions. But we have also to take into account that many companies are working to add value to reduce the carbon footprint. As I have said previously, if you work in the oil and gas industry, doesn't mean that you are a big carbon emitter. You could be a solution, focal point to many companies adding value.